Good morning. Hello. Welcome to Now. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Everyone, as you tune in, if you want to say hello, I'm so excited that I'm wearing my jacket, but I don't have to have 18 layers on right now, and I'm really excited about that. So, welcome to Body, Mind, Spirit. You'll hear some noises as people are getting settled in and arriving. Good morning. So, yeah, wherever you like. And then there is a sign-in sheet. It's me. Yeah, and there's a sign-in sheet on that table closest to you with a pen on it. If you want to make sure that everybody signed in. Good morning, Mama Jane. How are you? It's good to see you on here. So if we can also make sure that our phones are in a silent position, that would just make my life easier for me, because I need to do that. How's everybody doing?
This is a gorgeous day.
It is such a pretty day. It's not too frigid feeling.
No, I had to take 3 layers off on my walk.
Yes.
They said 34, but that was not 34.
I know, that sunshine, when they're not spraying, that sun is a potent thing. Porter, would you be willing to open that door a little bit more, please? Thank you.
Are we on video?
Yes.
Oh, hi.
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 So, yeah. Hi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Porter. I'm on the video. I'm on the video.
You are. We'll all be famous after this. We will all be famous. Ooh, can we talk about that?
We are famous.
So, okay. This will be fun, as I have something in my eye. Okay. I'm really happy to see everybody. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. So, okay, so here's a question. If you got to be famous, right? So you wake up tomorrow and hey, good morning, Ben. So you wake up tomorrow and you are famous. Okay? You have everything you need. Everybody loves and adores and admires you. Good morning. So here's a question. What are you famous for?
What for?
Famous for.
Famous.
Mm-hmm. And when I think about fame, I mean, the first person that comes to my mind is like Beyonce. And I'm like, I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't do these things like that. And then I'm like, well, Jesus was also famous, and he really didn't do much. He never wrote a book.
Right.
He never created a religion. He didn't have a social media page. Right? Yeah, he didn't have a team. You know, he didn't go to the gym every day and hardcore workouts so he could look good enough.
No car.
You know, but everybody tends to know who he is, right? So he's got famousness around him. So, what are you famous for? You wake up tomorrow, you're famous. What are you famous for? Mm-hmm.
If I can be anything I want to be that chef that goes to all the hurricanes, and the chef that world chef, I think, or something like that. He's a good chef. You know, he's like a 5-star chef, but he contributes all to the disasters and to the poor people, and he's created food throughout the world.
Really?
Yes. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh.
Do y'all know who she's talking about? This famous chef that helps out. If y'all know, let us know, because we can't think of his name.
Chef of the world or something.
Chef of the world or something. Let us know. Oh, I love that. So you would be famous for providing for more than just the restaurateurs, but for the bigger picture. So providing nourishment.
Absolutely.
Could you imagine being famous for that? How cool would that be?
And he's wonderful. He's so nice. But the nice thing I have to add, he also has money. So I'd still have the comfort creatures, but the creatures of the comfort. I'd still have a nice place to live and not have to worry about money.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Ben says he would be famous for leadership. I like that. Because, I mean, think about this, right? You know, we've had all these presidents. And, they've been leaders. But, have they really been leaders? I mean, really? You know, maybe they've been more dictators. Maybe they've been more puppets. You know, maybe they've been whatever, but like to actually be famous for being a leader in true leadership form, that would be really cool, right?
I know what I want to be famous for. I want to be. I've been working on it, making mindfulness and wellness a priority. That we take that as a priority, like eating and sleeping, like something that is integrated in schools. You know, that's something that is needed in our life to sustain and get better and evolve in a healthy way. Like being mindful and wellness, our wellness and our minds are the most important. And to put that in, integrate that into jobs, into all aspects, I think it would help all of us. And I want to do that already. I'm not saying that. I'm doing it. I'm not going to say when I do it. I'm going to do it. I can do it. I can do it. I will.
So you want to be famous for yourself being mindful, or for bringing mindfulness to other places?
Starting a program where it can integrate into things like what helps younger children. I think that's where it starts. And they can maybe even help the older people. Because maybe older people are stuck in their minds, and I'm not receptive to change, and I think the younger people are more receptive to change and learning new ways and new things, ways of being. That's why I think my generation has been more successful in not just being successful, but successful in other ways, like in our minds and knowing how important our minds are and how important our whole body wellness is. I didn't know that, but now I know that. So
Yes.
integrating that into our whole way of being and making something that's always it's a norm for everyone. Like to make sure their wellness and their mind is intact, like they go to the doctor, make sure their wellness is well.
Oh, like actual mental and emotional
Real
wellness.
conversation. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you talking about your mental health? So it becomes more of a normal thing, like, oh, how are you? And make sure we're checking in our mental health and make sure it's not our physical health.
I love that. Okay, so Robin's going to be famous for providing food and nourishment around the world. You're going to be famous for bringing mindfulness and basically health, emotional and mental health to children.
Or make it aware because people aren't aware of it. You can't.
So an awareness program to children or to anyone.
I mean, I would want to make it so it's in workplaces and everywhere.
So everywhere.
People are like.
Okay.
Everywhere the people are, it needs to be intact.
Okay, so Porter's going to be bringing emotional and mental mindfulness and awareness programs to all.
I'm going to do book on tips and tricks.
Oh.
Just if you don't have a specific item, what can you substitute it for?
Oh, so you're going to be a famous author so that people can read your book and like have all of these solutions just right at their hand.
Right.
Oh, I like that.
You want to scrub the back of your frying pan or something, like even your pot. If you don't have any Brillo, just crunch up a piece of aluminum foil. Use that.
Wow.
And well, this is typical. Well, not typical, but for a funnel, you got to transfer powder something into a liquid. So you don't have a funnel because the hole's so small. They can just take a piece of paper and roll it up and fan it open. Just put the powder in that way. Be sure enough to have the tip that goes into the container get wet.
Because that would not be good. I love that. Okay. Will you remind me of your name? Erica.
Yeah.
Okay, so you will be the famous author. Standing Buffalo is joining us and said that he would be famous for being a being of unconditional love. Awesome. Kind of like Jesus, right? Jesus didn't do much other than just talked about it. I mean, like great dude. Anybody else? What would you be famous for? You wake up tomorrow and you're just famous. I mean, it could be that you did like 800 cartwheels. What would you be famous for, Alan?
For helping people find suitable, satisfying employment.
Ooh, that being famous for helping people find suitable and satisfying employment. We need that. We need someone to be famous for that. Because it's one thing to be like, okay, well, I found a job, but to actually enjoy it and have satisfaction, that's a whole other story. And I feel like sometimes when we have this belief, or we've been in a culture where if the job is satisfying, that it doesn't pay us much.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Dude, yeah, you should be famous for that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Would be, wonderful.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And if you're on here online, whoever else, let us know what you would wake up and be famous for. What about you? What would you be famous for? You wake up tomorrow. Cool.
Again, I would be a philanthropist and give my money to worthy causes.
Wow.
Oh.
Say that again?
I said I'd be a philanthropist and give my money to worthy causes.
To the money to the where?
Worthy
So,
causes.
Worthy causes.
Yeah.
The what?
Worthy causes,
Oh, yeah, sure.
like cats and dogs.
Rather than just,
Birdie trees.
yeah, rather than just sit on the money and count your millions,
Yeah.
use it for
Mhm.
the benefit of mankind. Yeah, that's, yeah, Rich, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to just have all that money and just let it sit and, well, earn more money. You know, that's, yeah, you've got the right idea.
I love that. And to be a philanthropist, right? And to be able to be a philanthropist and have so much, like, say, money coming in from that place, right? So much energy coming in that you just have so much that you could share it to all these other.
That's what you would do if you had the money.
I like
How
it.
did you get the money?
I don't know.
Well, being the philanthropist is like, how would you get the money? From being the author. How would he get the money?
Okay.
From being the program creator. So it's that fame, right? Yeah. I love it. Okay, what about you, Jeremy? You wake up tomorrow, boom, you're famous. Everybody's like, paparazzi. Oh, really? That would be so much fun.
What was that?
Comedian.
See, we all laugh. I love that. Oh my God, y'all, I feel like we could use so many more comedians out there that are actually like funny. I feel like so many comedians have been just, they've gotten famous for making fun of other people or making fun of themselves, like, but in like a mean way. I don't feel like you would be mean about it.
No.
You know? Okay, so you're going to be famous for bringing joy to the world. Okay. That's a good one to have.
So would you want to wake up and just be famous? I think the journey is what
I mean,
I mean, just hypothetically.
yeah.
And I want to be successful, not famous. Because being successful, that can be anything to you. Fame is only perception
morning.
of others. Only other people see you as famous, but
That's-
you may not feel that way. If I'm successful, because I can have money and be famous, but not feel successful, and because I'm not living my truth or living what I know that I can do.
But this is just
This-
I
imaginary.
understand that.
Well, and this is what I'm getting to. Yeah. I'm moving it all together. Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am well. So you got to wake up today, and all of a sudden, you're famous.
Oh, look.
And you get to be famous for whatever it is that your heart is desiring. So what are you going to be famous for?
Making it to this YWCA housing equivalent.
Yay!
Yeah, that's well.
So, okay, so you will be famous for arriving somewhere on time. Okay. Do you want to think of anything else on that?
We caught off guard.
I know.
What was that? Famous for what?
Maintaining a positive attitude.
Ah.
For what now?
Maintaining a positive attitude.
Maintain a positive attitude.
Okay.
Wow.
Now
Making
that-
what?
A positive attitude.
So yeah, okay. That feels more in alignment for you. I'm like, yeah, having the positive attitude. So many grumble butts in the world. Could you imagine? And not being like, I'm going to ignore everything in the world, but being able to have a positive attitude during all of life's experiences and being so good and practiced at being able to see the silver lining or to see the bright side of whatever is happening. Like, to me, that we need more accolades for that, more like props for that.
Like Gandhi.
So totally, right? And so kind of along this line of, first of all, we don't know what our life is doing other than we're living this thing called life, right? Our bodies are along for the ride. Our mind is just the dictator of what we think about everything. And our spirit is there to truly guide us if we allow it, right? Now, think about this. All the things that we've done, everything that everyone has said, we've all been working on this our whole life. We maybe didn't know that philanthropy was our thing at 5, but now if I look back, philanthropy kind of is, because that was just my way of being. wow, maybe Jeremy's always been the kid that would tell jokes and stuff, not thinking I'm going to do this so that I can be famous, so that I can, right? Because fame in this sense, when it's really spirit led and our heart is like guiding us, it's not necessarily the fame that we've been told fame should be. This type of fame is more like this legacy that we leave behind. Like, to me, if I have been living this life and been practicing mindfulness, right? And it may be that you were so detached from mindfulness and mental and emotional awareness, that was you preparing for learning it. So we were still preparing for it our whole lives, right? This book that you're writing, right? You've learned these tips and tricks all throughout your life, whether it was process of elimination, pure necessity, or someone just told you a random fact and you just really kept it in there, right? A positive attitude. Have you always had a positive attitude? Yeah, me neither. So you've been preparing for that by not having a positive attitude, so that when you have the positive attitude, you're even more of that, right? Because if you're always like, I'm just positive all the time and I don't know any different, then it kind of falls flat. There's like no magic to that. But it's that magic that makes us famous. It's the magic with what we do. What we do with our magic is what creates the legacy, right? This fame, this leftover thing, the joy that I left in the world. If I have so much money, right? I have so much money. I'm just gonna share it so much. Then it's this thing that keeps spreading out beyond us, right?
It's longer than you do.
Totally.
Outlive me. I want someone to outlive me.
Yeah. So that's the thing about, if you look at someone that's famous just because they hold a title, right? They just hold a title. Some Olympic athlete won this medal in this year. Okay. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, you did good.
And if they stay in their home all day and they don't talk to anybody and they don't share their story and they're just like, whatever, I did my backflips, here's my gold medal, peace. Then like what's the magic in that? But if you're like, there's a story about, Michael Phelps and he had like webbed feet and he's like 18 feet tall and he can hold his breath for 5 years, and we only know that because it was the stories that have been shared, right? Right? Michael Phelps and those webbed feet.
I think what you said, because I've obviously, I don't cook, so I can't be that chef guy. But I think what you said about following your spirit if you can possibly do that, the reality will show up after that, or the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and, if we look back right now to all the things in our life and someone said, you need to write a book or we're going to make a video, a film, a movie about you, then you would already be famous for where you are right now. Because you've gotten through this like really dramatic story of your life, But we think that we have to reach this pinnacle before we can like be famous or before we can share our story, or now it's not until everything has to be perfect and then I can share because I got the gold medal, now I can share it.
Yeah.
But it's like the stories of us are just, to me, that's what makes us famous.
Yeah, and my mother said this, like, my little brother looks up to me. I'm like, look up to me? I never thought that I could be somebody that somebody would look up to, but you never know who's looking up to you or looking at you as an idol. Like, I want to emulate you. Like, so that's why I'm more mindful about what I do, what I say, and how I act, and how I move throughout this life. I just know that somebody is looking up to me or looking at me.
Yeah.
So I'm acting as an example. So I am. Who knows who's looking at me?
Yeah. I mean, I think thanks for sharing that, because it's also like, I don't know who's looking at me when I'm sitting outside and who's thinking, wow, I wonder what she's been through. or I'm glad that this person is here just because they're here and being a human. We don't know. There might be a kid that looks up to us and goes like, "Oh my God, that person is so cool."
So tall.
Like that person seems so fly. They're
You know
so
what
different.
about being famous. What I would really enjoy doing, and I move towards it, but I don't know the tools exactly. The tools, it has to be given to me from a spirit. I would really like to help others with my story, in whatever capacity that may be. I'm older in life, and so it's not like I'm going to be famous for singing or something. But that, and I don't need to be famous for it. I need to feel good because of it. That's what I want to do, and it'll manifest itself. I think if I ask for that to be my, what I'm supposed to do.
Did you say you want to help people write their story?
No.
What did you
I
say?
want to help people with my story.
Oh,
Using my
gotcha.
story, my experience, strength,
Oh.
and hope to help others.
Well, yeah, that just means you get to share it. That's how you do it. You would just share your story. That would be it. I would like to hear. Jeremy had his hand up first. What were you going to share?
About what he wanted to be famous for.
I was going to.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. It's all good. I wanted to add real quick. Ellen, what were you going to share?
Well, I just thought of something else that I'd like to be famous for, to kind of echoing what Robin said. I've got good writing skills, editing, writing, and I, employed at a time when I was employed with the Employment Security Commission. I helped people write resumes, learn how to interview, find jobs. And right now I'm working with a friend who's got a marvelous project introducing African food and cuisine culture to the Americas. He's connecting with his Gullah origin. And I spent 3 hours this past Sunday with him, going over a presentation and just polishing it, make it, grammatically correct and easy read, appealing words, and
That's a gift.
yeah, yeah. I mean, as I said, I have actually done it more than once, and that would be something else, that would be great to be famous for.
Definitely. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, Elijah, you get to wake up tomorrow. Yay. And you are famous for whatever it is that just makes you so happy. What would you be famous for?
Maybe a large house.
Yeah?
A large house.
And what would you do with this large house?
I would live in it.
Yeah?
Maybe I let my sister come to live with me.
Nice. So you'd be famous for supporting yourself and supporting others.
And my sister.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's very kind. Yeah. I want to say hey to Roberta, who's joining us. So I think that oftentimes we are trying to wait for something, right? It's like, I'll wait until I get I'll wait till I meet someone who can show me this before I do it. Or I'll wait until I finish this program before I can start feeling good enough about myself to start sharing my story. I'll wait till I'm like 100% clean and sober for this amount of time, and then I'll be good enough to share my story, or whatever. Or I need to get, and I've done this one myself, talking about writing in the book. I need to get this equipment first. I need to get, first it would be like, I need to get a new pen or pencil and a new notebook. And then it went to like, I need to get a laptop. I need a different laptop because that laptop is way too big. Now it's back to now I need a new laptop again because this actually is an old laptop. But then I really got to thinking, because I saw this book by Richard Bach that a friend gave me. And the first part of it is in his own handwriting. And I was like, I could do that. Like, I could write a book in my handwriting. Like, why not? Duh. Like, why would I wait until everything is done? Well, I don't have a graphic artist. Yeah, but I can doodle stick figures really well. Like, it's like, if you're going to be famous for having a positive attitude, then like, it would kind of suck if you waited till like, well, it has to be 72 degrees. This percent humidity, the sun has to be out, but some clouds would be nice. The trees must be blooming, and then I'll have the positive attitude, right? Like, you're not going to wait for that shit, right? Like, that would be like, but we do that so much. We wait because we think that we can't be, or we are not good enough now to be recognized in some way,
What is that? Why is that? Is it human nature to not feel?
No, it's not. It is not our nature. It's what we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to feel and see ourselves and each other as not good enough, right? I need to be thinner, taller, this or that or whatever. And if I'm never good enough, that means that no one else is good enough. And because that's just been in the way we've been programmed in our culture, then for me to actually feel like, oh, I'm good enough and I'm good enough now, it's literally breaking through all of those old programs and putting new programs in that are like spirit created.
Yeah, I compare my journey to your journey. I'm like, oh, he did so much. He went to medical school, so I can't do what he can do. But what can I do with what I have?
Yeah.
But God's given me some talents that He can give me. So
right.
I utilize my surroundings, my network, and what I do have. And that you write a book, write it with your hand, may inspire somebody like, oh, I can write. Look at it, I can.
Yeah.
Oh, she can do it. I can do it.
Yeah. People do it with comic strips.
That's what you're known for, not writing a book that's typed out, but writing by hand. May not be able to read it.
Right.
Here and well, you have to figure it out.
Right. Yeah. Context clues. Let's see. Mama Jane shares that what she would be famous for would be bringing about world peace, no wars. Okay, I would support that. I'm all down with world peace. Roberta is sharing that she did a webinar and selling books on Amazon. Oh, wow. Huh. Roberta, I know you joined late. The question that I posed is, you wake up, and this is for everybody that just joined in, you wake up today, tomorrow, and all of a sudden you're famous. What are you famous for? That's the question. But yeah, that I think that we're just programmed, and really seeing that all that I am is not only enough, it's more than enough. And that because of that, I have something to share. And it could be an attitude. It could be a joke. It could be a laugh. It could be a deep thought. It could be like, oh, you have more than enough. You're going to share it. Cool. You have a story. That's really supportive. Like where we are right now, we don't have to wait for us to be any better than we are now, for us to show up fully in our body, to take care of our body, right? Where we are right now is good enough to give our mind a break. Like we can give our brain a break. We don't have to keep thinking about what's wrong with me. How can I fix this? How can I get better? How can I be different? How can I be different? Like, it's okay to say, I'm okay right now, and I'm just going to let my body be and my brain just chill the F out.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Chilling out?
Well, accepting who I am and not being overwhelmed as to what I should be doing or what I shouldn't be doing. And having do-overs, like I attempted to do something, but I put it off. So I don't feel like it now. Or that phone call really threw me off track. So I'm just going to forget what I was going to do, and I'll say to myself, well, I'll wait and I'll do it over. Just start doing that. I don't know.
I like that.
It's like in the morning, if you wake up in a bad mood and you realize it and you're by yourself, like, just go back, lay in the bed, wake up, and doing the do-over.
Do-over. I'm glad you mentioned that, because, like, I want to be famous, right? I want to leave a legacy because our fame, like in this conversation, it's the same thing as what legacy do you leave behind?
Yeah.
You know, like what is it that only you could leave behind? You know, and like Robin, your story is only your story. Nobody else can leave your story behind at all. We could kind of tell parts of it, you know, but we can never tell it from your perspective. And this legacy that we're leaving, like I want to leave a legacy of inspiration. You know, so other people are inspired to live their life really happy, super free, cool. That's it. You know, because that's just a more fun earth for me to live in. Curly. Oh, well, thanks. Thank you for that reflection.
I learned from you, and you have an unusual way you trained, and I know you've gone to school and all that stuff. But besides that, you also had to put it all together to get it back to us. And you have a very mind-growing way of explaining things.
Thank you for that reflection. I really appreciate that. And it's like, if I keep looking for a way to inspire, then I will never inspire. If I just be myself, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, Jeremy, if it's just your nature to laugh and tell jokes, but if you're like, okay, I need to write out 3 jokes so I can tell them today by this time, it's going to stress you out and you're not going to tell funny jokes, right? You're just not. But if you're just like, oh my God, that was a funny one, and you jot it down, or, you know, then it's like that way of being that we already are is what we leave behind. And we can do it over. I woke up this morning and I was feeling the energy of the actual earth. Like, I'm really sensitive to the frequency of the earth and the photons and electrons and the solar waves and all that stuff that happens to hit it, and which is fun. It's like that. And so I was in meditation and it felt like my insides were being like jostled this way, and I knew that it was the earth. And I was like, dang it. And I was feeling my feelings, and I was like feeling calm and peaceful, and then I would feel a little agitated, and then I would feel like the opposite of confident, whatever that is, like the opposite of confident, and then I would feel super good, okay. And it was like rapid fire, like all these feelings, and my insides were even like moving, and I was just sitting there like, this is so weird. And so I was like, this meditation is not working because I am so caught up in everything that's happening. Like that it was, and it wasn't like anything was landing for me to even like look at and be with. It would be like, happy, 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 anger, never mind, we're calm. JK, your guts are going to vomit out of your face. Just kidding, you're calm again. And I was like, what is happening?
You know, I get obsessed, and I pray, let go and let the spirit let go and let, and sometimes it works, but sometimes it's just bombarded.
Right? Yeah. So what I did this morning when this happened, I got up out of the chair and I put music on and I moved my body. That's what I did. I moved my body so that my heart rate would change, so I could get back into just my body and what it can do. And I started just moving energy out of my hands, just like that, just like flingy stuff. So it wasn't like I just need to lift weights, but just getting that. And then I was like, oh, and then once I felt okay, I sat back down and I was like, oh, there I am. Okay, there I am. You know, but it kind of goes back to this like legacy that we're leaving. It's all this stuff that we learned that we're sharing out. It's the stuff that we're learning from our own experience.
How did you get to the place where you can feel those things? Your meditation allowed you to be so
like
sensitive to your
sensitive.
body, that you can feel the earth, and you can feel those.
Time and practice.
Yeah.
Feel those things.
And it's a part of my spiritual gifts as well. Like we all have gifts. Oh, we all have spiritual gifts. Yeah, we'll talk about it next time when I come back. We'll talk about spiritual gifts next time.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This is real quick, and you've already taught this. But I actually, my classes today is 4 agreements, and that is just a continuation, really, of what you've been talking about. But at any rate, can this be the thing that we are all electrons, atoms, ions, and all that stuff, and the body that we see is a reflection of light, or we have a mirror on us, and that's why we get a shape, something like that. But we're all basically just zoom, zoom, zoom.
Yeah.
Which is why we're all alike.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
If you
mean,
need to enhance that, please feel free.
yeah, I mean that's exactly it. You know, we're a bunch of like protons, electrons, particles, energy, photons. We're literally light. And the only reason we can see ourselves is because light is bouncing off of this cluster of energy and you're seeing it. So when I look in the mirror, I'm going to see whatever it is my brain is telling me that I believe about myself. Right? So if I hate myself or I've been told enough, Jane, you're stupid and ugly. Jane, you're stupid and ugly. No matter what, when I look in the mirror, I'm going to see stupid and ugly. Right? And then I'm going to look around and be like, everybody else is so stupid. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. And I'm either going to say that and point it out, or I'm going to be like, I'm so stupid. You're so much better than me. You're so much better. You're so much smarter. You're so much better. You're so much better because I am so bad. Right? But it's the mind that controls all that shit because we are still just a bunch of protons and photons and light.
Thank you. I love to hear you say that. The Four Agreements talks about the light. It's so much light that
Yes.
we're talking about. I don't need to.
Oh, I love that.
Promote my.
I'm glad you do. That's at 11:30?
Oh, 11:30.
Mm-hmm. So if anybody wants to go. I love the Four Agreements. It's one of my favorites.
So much.
What's at 11:30?
I'm going to facilitate a class on the Four Agreements. Do you remember that book?
No.
The Four Agreements, be impeccable with your word, blah, blah, blah. Well, we're reading it in class at 11:30 if you'd be interested. You have your own book.
I love that book. If you haven't read it, Alan, I think you would really enjoy it. Yeah. So I want to share what some people are saying. Roberta says acceptance of ourselves and others. If you're famous for that, then I would love that because that's where it starts. Like if I accept myself, then I accept others because I can't not. And like, could you imagine being famous for actually accepting what everybody and everything is? And there have been people in our lifetime that they've written stories about, all the Zen masters, the Tantra teachers, a lot of people in a lot of spiritual texts and cultures had unconditional acceptance and love. Jesus taught it, and then he got, killed for that.
Aren't Buddhists known for that spirituality and the connection with like other entities other than our physical, being able to meditate for hours on end, no sleep and no eating, they can control their mind?
Buddhists, different monks of other lineages, people in different yoga traditions, all types of faiths go. A lot of indigenous people go on walkabouts, like in the Aboriginal Australian groups, like they go on walkabouts. People go on pilgrimages. People in South America go on like vision quests where they go and they sit on top of a mountain for like 4 or 5 days or a couple weeks and they have no food, no water, no shelter. And they go, they pray, and they get their answers. They come down.
Fast for a whole month. They eat and sleep.
Yeah.
Under the tree. Like,
yeah.
Wow, his mind was able to allow him to sustain and not.
Yeah. Because we're made of light. We don't need half the stuff that we think we do. It's so cool. So I want to read what Standing Buffalo has to share. He says, I've always been me. Whatever I'm doing, I'm me. I'm a storyteller to share how I've gotten to where I am. The hardships that I've been through make me who I am. I'm a twice widowed man, and I'm happy to be alive. To have had the life that I've had, the good, the bad, but I'm still here. Life is a blessing to be present in my life, whatever I'm doing. Oh, love you, Jane, for being you. Likewise, thank you for that reflection. That was beautifully written. And that's the thing, like all the stuff that he's gone through, being widowed once sucks. Being widowed twice double sucks. It sucks to lose somebody that we love in any capacity, and it can either tear us down, take us down. We never leave the house, or we try to find the bright side, find the humor that I'm now widowed twice. Like, you can't make this up, like, how am I going to get through it? I don't know, but I'm going to read this really cool book so that I can at least do the little things so I can get through my day. And now I'm mindful and I'm aware of this stuff. And God, now I can have like deep thoughts and I have a safe place to go. And Alan's going to help me write about it because I've got a great story to share, but if I don't have all these things, then I'm literally just what's the point?
I've been there.
Yeah. The feeling of what's the point? Yeah. That's okay.
Definitely there's a reason for everything happening, and everything happens at its time for a reason. You may not know it now, but in perspective, you look back and like, oh, that's why that happened. you may not be able to see it at the moment. You back like, oh, that's why that happened. Even all the things that my life led me to here, I would never known why life led me to this place where I'm experiencing knowing about mindfulness. I would never have, before I went to college, this I've never seen, ever thought about, ever.
Right?
Never a conversation in my head.
And then here's a question. So what if, right? So what if the idea and ideals of all the people that have ever been famous, right? Well, only the famous only the wealthy are famous, right? Only those that have this appearance, or they can sing like the robot voices that they all sound like now, or whatever. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, like people don't sound like people anymore. Like the humaning, yeah. So it's like, so what if the idea of everything that's ever been famed and rewarded changed tomorrow, to where real people, real human people, actually were acknowledged for the magic and beauty that they are? Like, could you imagine? Like, where it's like, well, when you sing, your voice does kind of crack a little bit. And I kind of like that, because you're singing and you're showing me that I can now sing too. So now that person may actually be famous because they're just singing from their heart, and it just feels good to me, and I want to follow that. They haven't synthesized their voice, or like David was saying, being a philanthropist and sharing all this money, and seeing people that, so we've got Jeff Bezos, right? He owns Amazon, and he basically is one of, if not, well, he's not the wealthiest person in the world. This other total mobster in this other country is, but that's a whole other story. He controls so much that we don't even talk about. Yeah. And the countries are ran by the mafia of sorts. But so he's taken all of his money and he doesn't give it away to anybody. There are so many people experiencing big hardships, but he is literally building an underground bunker and a space station so that if the end of the earth comes, he can either go down deep with so much stock and supplies that he'll be fine, or he literally can leave the earth. He can leave the atmosphere. He is building this, and it's out west, right? It's nuts. And so to me, that's not something that I idolize. Like, I don't want to be like that.
I don't either.
But if he had all that money and wealth, and he said, okay, so I have enough money and wealth that I could take a state a week. Okay. And over the course of 2 years, take the profits, he'd still be making bank, and give however much to each state to equal out some hardships and make things better.
Infrastructure to do the
Mental, physical health, emotional health, real food. Stuff that doesn't actually cost a lot. But then, right? Oh, greed. But then if David, what if David had all the money tomorrow that Bezos has? Then I know, wow, people would probably have clean food and water. Because he'd be giving it from his heart. Oh, okay. Anyway.
And it would inspire somebody else to do the same thing.
Yes.
And it's contagious.
Yes.
I don't do that. I would do it. It makes you want to do. When you see somebody else, you're inspired to do it. You each one teach one. You teach me what to do with it and see what it does for you. It's not what you have, it's what you do with it. I don't care if somebody say, I'm rich. It's not what you do with your riches, it's what you do with your wealth, and how you can make it opportunities for other people to have say what you have. There wouldn't be as much crime if we all look at each other like, I want you to have what I have. Everyone's deserving of it. We all want the same thing.
We really do. We really just want peace and harmony and joy. That's legit. If you go down to the basic core desire of every living being, I'm talking from the ant to the human to a tree, anything. Everything is looking for peace and harmony. It's just to live in harmony with our surroundings. That's all we want. And we can't even get our body, mind, and spirit to live in harmony here. It's I want world peace, but my mind takes me off the tracks, and I don't give my body any sunlight or water, but there needs to be peace. It's that's not going to happen. It's just not. because it starts with each of us. And that's why I think we're so powerful. I saw this video this morning, and it was like a flock of birds and love. Yes, we all want love. And there was a huge flock of birds in Greece, and they were like taking off. And when you see a big flock, how they kind of like, they fly in this like big nebulous of brilliant movement. They're so right. And they didn't say, okay, I need you to fly next to me here, and then I'm going to turn a sharp left. And when I turn a sharp left, you go up. They didn't do that, right? They're just being who they are in the now. And that creates so much beauty. And we forget that, one, we can do that because we are that. But then when we do that, we don't recognize, but we end up moving all together, and then we become harmonious. Like, that's the way it works. Like, that's how true revolts happen. That's how true change is made, is when we all say, I need to do this because I can't not. You're doing the same thing. Oh, we're all doing that. Next thing you know, we all end up in the same room together having a similar conversation. And then we leave and we do our thing. And when we come back, and so we create that type of bird flock dance.
It's amazing. Like,
It's so pretty.
You don't know how to communicate how all take off at the same time. Like, or they all go from one tree to another tree. I'm like, how does all communicate how to get on there, land something, and then move? And move. I'm like, this is amazing to me. Like, wow. Seeing all these ants walking in one line. Like how do y'all know? And everybody's like, oh my God, he's before me. I want to be at the front of the line. What's going on up there? I don't even worry about that.
In my head, there's like one little bird that has one of those little mics on that's like, ready, 5, 6, 7, 8, and go. How funny would that be? But it does take that first bird to take off. There's always one, and it's not always the same one. It's just one says, I'm ready to go.
Oh, you see that beat?
And then everybody's like, yeah, me too. And that's where we leave a legacy of whatever it is that we follow our hearts, and then those that are with us stay with us. And if someone stops flying, then we all stop.
Like that beat.
How do we practice being in the now or in the moment? When I try to do it, I say, okay, Rob, you're right here, right? But then you go and then you're somewhere else. And it can practice enough to get better at it.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, for me to stay real present in the now, I stopped wearing a watch. I don't have any clocks in my house.
Okay.
I set my alarm on my phone when I need to, and I leave it in another room so that I don't have any concept of time.
Okay.
Because it is all now.
Right.
And that really, once I started to release myself from the timing device, the tick tock, tick tock, where you got to go, where you got to be, what do you have coming up? You see, like, yeah, thanks. It just came out. So like once that was out of my reality, then I was just in this so now space, and I realized that I was more on time. I stopped running late. I stopped having anxiety about being late. I stopped feeling bad if I was late because it actually worked out in my favor. It was like I was 5 minutes late, but I also saw the accident that I got to miss. That I would have maybe been in had I been on time. So that was a huge first step for me.
And being present, just by being attentive to your surroundings, would help, I would think.
Yeah, to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
It's not only in your philosophy, it's also in my other place that I go.
Yeah.
And that's where happiness really lies, is in the moment.
It's the only place. Because no matter how much I think of a really good memory or really good thing that's going to happen, it might elicit feelings of a joy, but it's not nearly as big as in the now that I experience it. I can't recreate the joy of having, yesterday I got to hold a baby, and then like someone else held the baby, and then the baby was like, I'm not happy. And I was like, so I went like that, and the baby was like, yes. Right. And so the baby like got like latched on, and this baby was like, yes. That feeling was so like, I can't recreate it. But in the moment that I was experiencing it, I allowed myself to feel it. I was like, this feels so good. Like I recognized, and I said somewhere in my mind, this feels really good. And even if it doesn't feel good, like, wow, this doesn't feel good. This sucks so bad right now. Because it's going to be temporary. So being in that present moment, like I'm just with that's living in unconditional acceptance. Because I'm not judging anything around me.
Do you believe that devices and social media is really distracting from us being living in the now?
Oh, yeah.
Because we're not present, but we're on our phone. We're supposed to be walking, but we're not even walking. We're just on our phone trying to multitask.
Yeah.
You can't be present if you're trying to do 14 things at the same time. If you have to be present in the moment, so you can do the best that you can, make sure that you're conscious and aware of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the intention behind it.
Yeah. I was with a kid yesterday, and they're on a device, and I kept saying their name, and I sat in front of them, and I put my face in my hand. I was like way closer. I was like closer than this. And I was like, so-and-so, so-and-so. Hey, human, can you respond? Human, can you respond? And then they were able to push pause and look up, and they go, what?
That's the thing. They're totally out there.
And yeah, and we all do that. We all do that with whatever it is that we're addicted to.
We all do what?
Get distracted.
Get so focused on something that we don't hear anything. So it's like if I'm addicted to
you're right. Alcohol, that's
Yep.
all I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Yep.
For instance.
And if I'm drinking currently, Porter could be like, Jane, you need to stop drinking. I'm not gonna hear it because I'm too busy. If I'm Netflix binging, right? I'm watching it. Or, I had a really bad day and get out of my way because I need to make a phone call because I need to go find someone to soothe my discomfort. I can't. Or I hit the sugar, right? I start eating the sugar, which is just the culturally acceptable addiction that takes the place of cocaine and alcohol. And not even looking at guilt, shame, and sexual abuse and trauma. Because that's where it manifests in addictions. Oh, the system. Yeah. So, yeah. It forms addictions.
It's hard since we all have phones to have to limit yourself and how much control it has over me. I'll put it down.
Yeah.
I don't use this as a device to get information from. I use this to communicate with. I have to realize this is what it's purpose for. I can live life. I'm not living life when I'm stuck in my phone. So I have to, it's hard, but I have to give myself boundaries and perimeters. This is what I would do, and I'll put this down. I don't even want to take my phone with me sometimes because I don't need it.
Yeah.
Do I really need this? I don't need it. It's not a necessity.
Well, and think about this. Like, we get to hang out here for an hour where we all get to be present, make eye contact, and share. There are humans that don't do this.
Okay.
There are humans that don't or can't do this. One, because they live in too much fear. Like, I get if you're like in a physical space and you physically can't, that's a whole other story. But like for those that are in a body to where it is accessible. So that being said, there are people in this now that have not sat in a group of people because one, they're too afraid, or two, they're too busy. They can't get off their screen long enough. They don't feel comfortable detaching. What if they missed that email? What if they missed that call? What if?
Well, they're here, but their mind's way over there.
Yeah. But like the fact that we get to be here and have a conversation about whatever we want, to me, that makes PRN famous-able, because they have a space to hold the space for us to do something that people literally just, some of them don't even know how to do it. Some people are really afraid to share anything.
We weren't taught that way. Some people aren't taught to have this kind of conversation where I listen to you and I'm not worried about, I'm not judging whatever comes out of your mouth. I'm just listening to you so you can just, whatever you have to say, you can let it out. Open dialogue, communicate. You can watch crazy lists of ways that's not proper ways, effective ways of conversation. I choose not to do it.
The debates are so not.
It's not a good way to show children that's how you get over your differences. But it's not a good side or bad side. What is best for everyone? It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. What is going to help society move on because it's all affects us. It doesn't matter who's at the top. Like, how is it going to make society better?
Mm-hmm.
We have to learn to grow because we don't realize this, but we as a people who realize about mental health, like this is the first time that this has been a conversation, mindfulness. So I have to realize and give people grace because it was never talked about 10, 15, 20 years ago. So this is new for everyone. So it's going to take time. I have to be patient with people because it took me a while to get to this place.
Yeah.
To find this place of solitude, of knowing that this is important.
Definitely. Mama Jane shares that that some are afraid of being judged.
Yes, judgment. Oh,
You know, that's a doozy. We're so afraid that we're going to be judged that we're like, it's kind of like, you know, if you see the positive stuff in stuff, that was really cleverly said.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If you see the positive side of things, you know, have you ever experienced a fear of being judged? Like, well, it's not appropriate to see the silver lining right now, so I'm not going to share it. Or you're like, F that, I'm still going to share it. Or has it been a process?
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I remember I was close with somebody and they died, they transitioned. And then like that night, because they were in hospice, that night we were back at her home, and it was like the family came back to this house, and the grandkids were there, and they're like, you know, 7 to 12 years old or something like that. And because they're children and they literally are just spirit, you know, they're just spirit.
Right.
And so we put music on and we were dancing. And we were moving the energy through our body. Like we were actually letting grief move through our body and transmuting it with joy, because grief is a prelude to joy when you look up the like emotional and energetic spectrum. Anyway, and I remember thinking for a blip of a moment, I thought, oh my God, this family is going to think I have lost my marbles or that I'm extremely disrespectful. Right? And then I was like, I'm not listening to any voices in my head right now. I am following my heart, and this is what my body is doing with these children. And it brought more joy in the room and in the space, right? And so I was glad that I didn't at that time fear being judged and let my presence be. You know, and so that's what I just really want to end this with is whatever it is that we're doing, please let you be the you that you are, and that you're already leaving a legacy behind in the wake of every step you take. You are inspiring someone, whether you know it or not. All of us are. And so kind of like own that. Like, okay, well, cool. I'm inspiring somebody. I don't know who, and I don't know when, I don't know where, but kind of like, it's kind of like if someone says, you know, I hid something for you in this house and you get to find it, you know, and so you may find it, you may not, but that knowing that you might come across it, there's something really magical about that. So maybe for the next couple weeks, pretend that your future self is famous and that who you are is who you're becoming, and you are doing exactly what you need to do. You're always on time. The timing is always perfect. And that the nature of who you are is something that is inspiring. You have something to share. Let the body just follow that. Let the mind shut up and let the spirit guide us. And then go to Robin's offering about the 4 agreements.
Yeah. It's just an extension of this. Thank you so much for the inspiration and the opening of my mind and heart. as you
Thanks.
walk in your classes.
Thanks. Thank you for that. Thanks. Which, just a reminder, I'm not going to be here in person for the next 2 Thursdays. I have pre-recorded them, and they will air on PRN's Facebook and YouTube. So if you're here, you could maybe see if someone has a computer and tune in, and that way you can be here for the class.
Yeah, I'll ask.
Ask if that's a thing.
I will.
Because that would be cool. And that way y'all can like talk around,
I
and
think they need to buy a big one right to put right up there.
that would be really cool. That would be cool. But yeah, so just a heads up, I won't physically be here for the next 2 Thursdays.
You'll be missed.
Thank you. I'll miss you all. Well, Costa Rica.
Ooh!
I know.
For 2 weeks?
Yeah. I'm really excited, y'all. I've been like dreaming about this. So,
What?
no,
She's going to Costa Rica.
I'm going to explore.
Costa Rica
I'm just going to explore and
for vacation and explore and
Yeah.
just be Jane.
yeah.
She's been in
And then Standing Buffalo says, thanks for everybody. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I love you all so much, and I will see you all so soon. Bye, y'all.